As a student, you should do your research.
There are agents who have gone rogue.
So the moment you're being charged for SOP, you're being charged for CVs or doctrines or documents or all that, you should know that I don't think you're in the right hands.
I've seen a case where a student said, I don't know anything about my application. They just told me to do this or to provide that, and I just give it to them, but I don't know. I've even seen a case where someone said, the agent was the one who put in all my information. The parents that are there are not my parents. And I'm like, how do you let someone have that much control over something that it's so important to you? Like, this is your whole life that we're talking about here.
So the moment you're a student and you're seeing all this, you're paying for SOP, you're paying for CV, they're doctoring your CV. Remember, the moment it's doctored and you have claimed that you've worked in certain places and you don't have the experience and you find yourself in that in the UK, it indicates that you have lied. Integrity issue is a problem. So you've not done anything in global healthcare management, you have lied that you have worked in certain places, you put it on your CV, you get in there and little things that needs to be done, you can't.
This side of the world, we believe that if it's expensive, then it's the best. Because it's expensive doesn't mean it's the best.
Hello and welcome to the Global Education Roadmap podcast, where we will be having honest conversation about studying abroad, international education, and how to make your study abroad dreams reality. My name is Adebola, and I'm your host for today. So today we're going to be having a conversation about something that sparks a lot of opinions and honestly also a lot of emotions. Our topic today is, are agents helping students or are they just simply selling to them? You know, we have different industries, and in every industry, we have good people and we have bad people. And the consultancy industry is no different. I will not be having today's conversation alone, as I'm joined by two amazing people who have been in the industry for years. Joining us today is the Head of Business Development Africa, Study Now, Alima Lawan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so we're not alone. We also have the in-country representative, Sub-Saharan Africa, the University of East London, Destiny AK.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So I'm so happy to have you both in the studio here with me because, you know, you have experience and also you've been in the industry for years. So you're actually very perfect for the topic we're having today. So before we go into what consultants are actually doing in the industry today, I think it's best we acknowledge why a lot of people have trust issues when the word agent or consultant come up. It's because, you know, with your experience, you've definitely come across people who have had good experiences while dealing with agents and people who have had bad experiences. They've been left with false information, they've been misled, or they felt like products in the hands of these agents rather than people. And this will lead me to this question I want to ask, because, you know, the more stories like this keep spreading, the more people begin to ask a bigger question, which is what value do they have to the life of this student? So I actually want you to answer first, and then Alima can also answer.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would say that in as much as a lot of people have bad experiences, I do believe that the agents do have a very good role that they play.
Yes.
In some way, they do make the life of students and the people that they work with a lot easier as opposed to when they get to do stuff on their own. So I do believe they play a key role in the sector.
Yes. Yeah. So, Ms. Alima, also with your experience in the industry, what exactly do you think, what value do agents bring to the lives of these students?
All right, like she has rightly said, it's very, very important. The agents actually play a key role. So they are like the middle person between the students and the university, right? And most agents are actually trained by the university rep. So like she's here, she has actually trained us too, right? So we actually understand the requirements. We know the necessary things the students actually do need to proceed. So we're basically there to guide the students, right? So we strike a balance. The balance in the sense that instead of having her not probably respond to messages or emails on time, we're there to actually create that balance and also guide the students. Yes, I understand that in the industry, you tend to have some few agents that, you know, can be a bit cocky and not straightforward. But that's why, to a large extent, as a student, you should do your research. Once you have somebody come to you or speak to you or say, "Oh, I'm representing a particular university," most universities do have the reps or the agency that they're partnered with on their websites. You can actually check, do your due diligence and all that. And to a large extent, most agencies that actually work with universities would rarely charge you a fee for it. It comes free because we're already paid by the university, right? So things like this are few things that students need to actually check through before proceeding with an agent. So as an agent, will guide you from university selection to the course selection, right? To the necessary documents, and also how to guide you on how to answer questions, because you can't come in and just say anything carelessly and all that. So we'll also guide you on how the university expect you to coordinate yourself. Then of course the visa session, and of course post arrival, like when the students we go through the pre-departure briefing. So before you leave the country, you should understand certain things. And by the time you get to the UK also, or whichever destination you're going into, we also will brief you what is expected and what you should do. So it's a balance. If you actually hit the rep, because there's nothing we technically do without the rep in play. So that balance is what would actually help students. So the agents actually do play a very key role. But at the same time, students also need to do their due diligence to find out the right agency or agents to work with.
So, something that I picked out from what you both said was the fact that agents exist to provide guidance and not to create dependence.
Exactly.
So you need to make your research whenever you're meeting an agent. And, there's a line between providing guidance and actually making it look more of like a selling strategy. So at what point does it look like the agent is no longer providing guidance, but is actually doing a sales process instead? So I want you to answer first and then she can answer afterwards.
All right. So as an agent, you should guide the students. When it comes to writing SOP or probably doing the CVs and all that, as an agent, because I've come to understand situations where students will actually come in and tell you, "Oh, you're supposed to write my SOP." No, I'm not supposed to write your SOP. Your SOP actually speaking why you're actually going to the university, why you have chose the location. And that's why most times I give my students example, like, okay, forget you're going to the UK. Imagine you're in Port Harcourt, for example, and you're coming for your MSc in the University of Lagos. What are the research? What are the things you would do? What are the due diligence you will go through? You need to find out, oh, how much am I going to spend monthly? How much will I be eating? Accommodation to school and all that. That's what you're technically doing when you're going to the UK also, right? So we're actually there to do that for you, like to guide you that, okay, these are the research you should go online to do, right? So the moment you're being charged for SOP, you're being charged for CVs or doctoring some documents or all that, you should know that I don't think you're in the right hands. I've also seen situations where students actually do have an offer and has everything, but they don't even have the email. They don't even know anything about it because the agent has actually, taken that whole aspect from the students and say, oh, this is now you go and do this. So even when the student gets a refusal along the line, the students will tell you, I don't have the rejection letter. They're like, why wouldn't you have that? You should have your email and all that. So yes, in that aspect, the moment you see that, I know people can be lazy these days, but you shouldn't be lazy because that's your life. That's something you're moving to the next stage. That's your future goals. So why would you allow somebody else carry you along that process when you could actually do that and get the proper guidance on that aspect? So yes, the moment you detect things like that, I'm sorry, you're not in the good hands. You should probably go to someone that would guide you appropriately and take you through the process and also make you understand it. I tell my students when they tap you in the middle of the night and ask you questions about why do you want to study, why did you pick the course, you should be able to answer confidently. Not now, the moment you have the M in it, then look yourself in the mirror and answer those questions confidently and you're perfectly good. So things like that are some of the few things that students should look out for when they speak to agents.
Yes. So Destiny, as someone who works with a university, I actually want to hear you talk about this.
Okay. So I believe she said almost everything I have in mind. She's really covered the ground. However, there are agents. Yeah, I believe there are agents who have gone rogue. I'm sorry to use that word. They're making students to be reliant on them rather than providing the support. Exactly. Creating that dependence rather than supporting them or providing the guidance that they need. Like she rightly said, some agents rather than providing the assistance, telling them how to go about writing the SOPs and all of that. So enabling them to do their own research and understand what they are going in for. They practically take on all of that, and the student doesn't even know what they are doing. Or you can leave that student in the UK, like in the middle of the UK, and they don't know if to go right or to go left, because
Honestly.
they've basically not done anything, right? And this is what we've seen at the university, or you speak with some agents and you get to hear this, because the students, they probably have worked with some other agents that have given them all of this on a platter. They've done little or no work at all. All they've done is, I need an application, I want to do, and then the agent just carries on with doing everything. And it's even so bad, like you said, some of them go as far as even using the application, using their email rather, to make applications for them, do the visa applications and all, and they'd have little or no information about this whole process. I've seen a case where a student said, I don't know anything about my application. They just told me to do this or to provide that, and I just give it to them, but I don't know. I've even seen a case where someone said, the agent was the one who put in all my information. The parents that are there are not my parents. And I'm like, how do you let someone have that much control over something that it's so important to you? Like, this is your whole life that we're talking about here. Like it or not, the agent is not going to be the one in the UK. They won't be the one going to school. They won't be the one who would have to answer the questions if you're being interviewed. So why do you give that much control to an agent, right? So this is something that we as an industry, we do need to look into and see how we can curb these excesses of some agents. But at the same time, I believe there are agents like Studying Now who are doing the right thing that they should do, and other agents who the university actually partners with. She said something else that is very important. She said, if you go to an agent and the agent is not asking you for anything, asking for to make payment, I think that's an agent you should take seriously. And also, as a student who is going to study, be it in the UK or whatever destination, it's important for you to carry out your own research. Whether or not the agent tells you, in fact, before you approach the agent, you should be able to know what you want, how you want it, where the university is. Like when you're talking to the agent, you're talking from a place of understanding or knowledge of what you want. I've spoken to some students, and by the time I leave that conversation, I'm like, oh my God, this person already knows what they want. So those are the kind of students that I want us to meet, and those are the kind of students I want students or prospective students to be, whenever they approach myself or you as an agent. So
Okay, so thank you very much.
Yeah,
You've actually said a lot regarding that. And also from what you said, right, I realize that transparency is very important. It's something that we need to actually have more in the industry. And for what you said, you actually spoke about some red flags that students should look out for. And one of them is if the agent is demanding you to pay them for them to provide the guidance. Because like you said earlier, you're already being paid by the university. So requesting for payment also from the students, those are some warning signs that you should look out for. So I also want you to just say some things about some red flags or warning signs that our students who probably are already speaking with an agent or have plans of studying abroad, that they should look out for them to spot the difference between the good and the bad agents in the industry.
Okay, so I'll technically even speak directly to students. You should do your due diligence. You should do your research. You should understand why you're going for your master's. Like if you're going for a master's, you're going for your BSc undergrad. You should understand why you're going for it. It's a journey. It's something that takes you to the next level. So why are you doing it? If you don't understand that, then it's a problem. Now, I'm going to meet an agent and I've seen students come to meet me and tell me, what course should I go for? And I'm like, why would you ask me for what course? What's your dream? What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in the next few years? What are the things you actually want to do? If you don't understand that, then I don't think you're ready. So the moment you approach an agent, and the agent is the one picking the cost for you, picking virtually everything, and you're more of like dependent, and you don't understand it. You ask the student, and the student is saying, I don't know, like she said, I don't know. And they said, no, it shouldn't be that. You should, also educate the student. There's a couple of my students that I learned from. They give me some few information before I even get the information, and I'm happy. So that's how it should work. So the moment you're a student and you're seeing all this, you're paying for SOP, you're paying for CV, they're doctoring your CV. Remember, the moment it's doctored, and you have claimed that you've worked in certain places and you don't have the experience, and you find yourself in that in the UK, and you probably need to work in that kind of environment, and you can't even perform, it indicates that you have lied. Integrity issue is a problem. So you've not done anything in global healthcare management. You have lied that you have worked in certain places. You put it on your CV. You get in there, and little things that needs to be done, you can't. I've had a student once come to meet me and said, "Oh, I want to go for social care. Or I want to go for nursing." And I'm like, "Oh, nice. Boy, you studied accounting in BSc. Why are you going for nursing?" And she's saying, "Oh, yeah, I just like nursing." And I'm like, "Okay, Go ahead and ask me. I have a couple of questions. How how do you do well when you see blood? It's like, oh no, God forbid. I'm like, okay. So as a nurse, what do you expect to find? You're going to treat wounds. You're going to see You're going to see patients with burns. You will see patients with different issues. You see sickle cell with sores on their leg. Can you handle it? Is the question. And she's saying, "Ah, I don't think so, but they said I'll get a job afterwards. It doesn't matter. The question is, can you survive it? Does it make sense for you to spend that much money, get to the UK, you can't cope, and you probably have to let go and come back? It doesn't work. So do your due diligence, understand why you're going in for it, be less dependent, but just allow them. That's why I use the word guide. Guidance is different from you being dependent on someone or assuming that the person will do everything. And you should always follow up. Don't assume that, oh, I have an agent doing something for me. And once you speak to the agent today, you're not there again in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So the agent has to come back. Remember, the agent is also working with 20, 40, 30 other students. So you should be up there. You should constantly find out. You should be curious. That's the major work. You have to be curious and you have to be ready, to put things in line whenever you're called. Whenever you're called for an interview, you should be able to answer the questions, even without the agent, because you've done your due diligence and research. You're also there. So the moment you see an agent that allows you to be dependent on them, that's not a flag, it's a banner for me. I call it a banner. So yes, those are a few things I think would work.
Okay, thank you. So, Destiny, as someone who works at the university, some red flags that you feel students should actually look out for whenever they meet agents and they're interested in studying abroad, but there are things that they should know that once they see this sign, this is someone that I should run for.
Yeah. I would say, as a student, you should consider going on the university's website to verify that these agents that I intend to work with, they are actually on the university's website.
Yes.
Most universities, or I would say in my own case, the University of East London, we have our agents that we partner with on our website. So it's important that you go on the website, you check this information. Most times, the information students need, they're already on the website, but most of us don't read, So you could go there, you get that information. And even afterwards, when speaking with the agents, if I don't want to use the word wise, but if you know what you're doing, you'll be able to tell if this person is genuine or not. Right? So another thing is, once they start making, like she said, dependent on them and not guiding you, that's already a red flag or a banner. Like she said, so that's already a problem. Then you do not have your own information or you don't have access to the information that you need.
Yes.
You need to question that. The moment that power is taken from you, they've literally taken everything. You don't have your student ID, the application is not done with your email, or the visa processing is not done with your email. Those things that actually, guarantee that you are the owner of the application or whatever it is that is being done for you. Then they've taken the power from you and you should question that. So at every given time, you need to be curious. You need to ask questions. You need to follow up. And when you're not, there's some agents that a student may speak to and they are being, I don't know if I'll say, they are being funny about giving information that is in it. For example, a student might ask you, oh, do I have an offer? And it might take forever before the agent comes back. Or, oh, this is what am I supposed to do here? This, that. They don't even want you to have that information because they feel like if you have that information, you're going to run away. Before that happens, just run. Yeah, I've seen that happen a few times. So I would say that before you get to that point where you already feel like you're being, you're taking the back seats in your life or something that involves your life, then you should run away from that. So I think with adding to what she said, I believe all of these would actually prove to be banners, red banners and not flag at this point. So yeah.
Yes, okay, so thank you. And when you were saying your experience with the students that, because they had this notion that they would get a job, they want to do something they didn't study. Sometimes social media actually encourages this perception because a lot of people see studying abroad as the end of one chapter of their life. Yes, it is a new chapter, but it's something that comes with a lot of responsibilities and also opportunities. So what are some things that you've seen on social media, and as someone in the industry, you just have to laugh about them because you're like, this is not how the reality is. So I want you to actually go first and then she can also answer.
Social media is beautiful, trust me. Some of us have learned a few things from social media and we've been able to benefit from social media. At the same time, we need to be wary of the kind of information that we allow ourselves to. And some persons are, I'm sorry, forgive me for using the word, very gullible. They just hear that information, they do little or no research, and they run with it. Do you understand? So that alone on its own is a problem. Right? I've seen a situation whereby I'll hear things like, oh, you don't need this amount to go to this university, or you need £1,000, or you need this amount. And they don't even give you all of the information, or they give you wrong information. And then you have a student who would approach you as a counselor or as an agent, and they're like, yeah, this person said it, and or maybe they're running. The person who even dropped that information, that only happened maybe years ago or some time ago, and that's not what is currently prevalent at the moment. But because that person feels like they know, they just go online. Everybody has access to a phone right now, and internet and data and all whatnot. So they just go out there, they put that information, and this very unfortunately gullible person, gets that information, and they're already dragging the counselor or the agent by the neck because they feel like that's what it should be. Yeah. But however, it's not a bad thing if you've studied one course and you intend to do something different from that. There are universities who provide these courses. For example, at the University of East London, you may not have studied computer science or anything like that, but we have MSc Computing, which is available for students from any background to apply to. Do you understand? So there are some universities that have similar courses, that even if you may not have studied this or you do not have an experience in this background, you can come. It's called a conversion course. You just need to make sure that you have the right answers or you've done the research. Whatever university you intend to do, you do not necessarily need to meet your agent first before you know. Go on the website. Somebody has come online to say, oh, you only need this amount for tuition fee. Or you only need this to get access to that. For nursing, like she said, you may not have studied nursing, right? But for some universities, if you do have the work experience, right, which is, I think it's the norm, because that is something that has to be life or death, right? So if you do have the work experience, you can apply. So it's not something that from anywhere you feel like you can, you've studied engineering, you studied whatever, you could just find yourself doing nursing. Personally, for me, I've told myself, I'm like, no matter how good nursing may be, it's not something I think I can find myself doing, because I'm not the kind of person that wants to see the kind of things. If I don't want to be in the medical field, really. So, you check yourself, you check the requirements, ask yourself if this is something you're passionate about. Check what it entails for you to be in that field and see if you can work towards it. Because a student, for example, who is coming to make an application for September just because they've heard, you can apply even if you don't have a nursing background, you can apply. Even if you've not studied nursing, you can apply for nursing. You're coming maybe by this time, June, to apply, and you've not even gotten the experience. And then maybe you need 6 months or even a year experience. So how do you start gathering that document? Understand? So these are some things that students need to look into and make their research. Social media is good. Internet is a beautiful place to be, but make sure that whatever information you're feeding yourself, you actually do your own research to make sure that that information is correct at the time you are also looking into it, So thank you.
Yes, Alima, as someone who you have direct contact with students, so what are some things you've heard or you've seen on social media and you just know this is not how the world is?
Oh my God, like she has said, there's a lot. There's a lot that you see on social media and your heart skips, right? And students tend to believe that what they have seen online is actually the right thing. I've had students tell me that, I don't need a bank statement to get CAS. My sister did it 10 to 12 years ago and she didn't do this and that. And I'm like, okay, fine. And the sister was actually on the call with me and the brother, and I had to break down, do you even understand what confirmation of acceptance means? Do you understand why you need a TB certificate or certificate for you to proceed? Like, you also have people that you call the actual agents and the sub-agents. Sub-agents are people that would source for students, come give it to agents like us that have direct partnerships with the university. And so there's more of like another middleman between a middleman. So we are the middle person between the students and the university. Then you have another person because he or she has been able to travel or has helped one or two people. And they're now like, oh, I think I know it now, right? And they're trying to give you information that isn't even correct or up to date. So it's okay to watch, it's okay to listen, but the best thing is for you to come back to the actual agent to confirm and not follow and believe that is your Bible. That's what I'm supposed to go because it has been said on social media, you run with it. Even doctors that have said, oh, you go Google online to ask Google, like, I'm having headache, I'm having sore throat, what do you think I have said it today that no, that's not correct. You need to get back to the hospital, meet an actual doctor, do the proper test, and get the results.
Yeah.
So that's what's technically happening with social media. Sorry, excuse me. That's what's technically happening with social media, where you get information. And to a large extent, I think one of the most challenging aspects of the job is where you meet a student that has one cousin in the UK or has one family member or has one somebody that has done something before. They just assume they know everything.
Yeah.
And trust me, they always mislead them because the policy in September last year is different from the policy in January.
Exactly.
The policy in January this year is even different from the policy for September this year, right? So it changes. You understand? So I think these are a couple of things. Yes, listen to social media. Yeah, get the information, but please go back and verify. That's why they always call something verification. Verify. If you get the proper guidance, run with it, but don't always run with what you see on social media.
Yeah, so basically what we're just saying is social media is not bad, but you need to make your own research and you also need to also verify. Verification is very, very important. So, you've already answered a lot of questions here today, but now what I want us to do is I'm going to say some certain things. So I want you to let me know if it's a myth or if it's a fact.
Okay.
Yes. So, for example, are we human beings?
Facts.
Thank you. So the first statement would be agent guarantee visa.
Myth.
Why do you think it's a myth?
Okay, you start with me.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to use myself as an example. Before I became a university representative, I was also a counselor, so I've sat on that side of the table.
Yeah.
All right, so I usually tell students, no agent can guarantee you 100% on visa application. I'm not the, what's it called now? Is it the ICO or what? So I can't guarantee you that. My job is to make sure that whatever is going to cause a refusal or a rejection, that is mitigated. But I can't tell you unfortunately, I've heard some counselors who had said that, I guarantee you 100% you're going to get the visa. I'm not God. I'm not the officer who's going to be looking at the, looking at your visa application. I'm not even the UK embassy. So why would I guarantee anyone that? So, do not let anybody sway you by that. I'm guaranteeing 100%. These days, nothing is even guaranteed, unfortunately.
Yes.
There's a lot happening, and even if you may get it right, it is not cast in stone. You're going to get it. So for me, it is a myth. Yeah.
Yes, Alima, you also said.
Definitely, I definitely wrong what she has said. You can't guarantee a student that because anything could come up. They could request for more documents from the UK via office. They could request for an interview, and the moment you're called in for an interview, that interview determines if you're going to get a visa or not. So that's why I would say it's a myth.
Okay. So the next would be the most expensive university is always the best option.
That's a very dicey one. I would say myth.
Okay. Why do you think it is?
So because it's expensive doesn't mean it's the best. Right? Although, especially on this side, from this side of the world, we believe that if it's expensive, then it's the best. But over time, I can tell from personal experience that expensive doesn't mean quality, really. Yeah, as much as yes, you might want to check everything out, well, expensive doesn't mean quality. So I would say myth.
I'll run the same thing. Yes, to a large extent, as a student, if you're going in for any university, you should check the ranking, check the reputation of the university, that's the ranking, and also check the environment and the facility and all that. But all the same, it doesn't determine that the amount would determine if the university is all that. Because there's some very affordable universities that would, the cultural environment, what they have to offer, and certain things would actually work well with whichever course you're going in for, because there'll be some certain schools that will be good for engineering, because yes, this is it. There are certain schools that I might not mention at the moment that it's all about catering, and you have that real life experience in there. So also, so all that it all depends on what you actually expect. So I would say it's a myth for me.
Can I add something
Yes,
there?
you can.
And most of the expensive universities, using the UK as an example, they're more research. right? So it depends on if you're into the whole research thing or that's really what you're up for. I'm not saying that's the only thing they do, but that's like their stronghold. However, like she rightly said, the environment too should also influence your decision, right? Some universities where they're located, also it's a very good ground for the course you're doing. Using the University of East London as an example, we're in London, right? That gives you more opportunities for jobs as opposed to other universities in other cities. I'm not saying they won't get jobs, but you have more access to job opportunities studying in London as opposed to someone studying in a different city from London. So, yeah.
Yes, okay, so thank you. So we are going to be going on a quick break, and when we are back, we're going to also be continuing the fact or myth. So thank you. Welcome back. So before the break, we were in the middle of the fact and myth segment where we are separating the misconceptions in the industry from reality. And we actually took some statement before we went on that break. So we're going to be taking a few more before we wrap up the show. So the next statement is actually something I want to hear what you actually have to say about it. So I can confidently pay my tuition fee from working abroad. Actually want you to answer.
Forgive me for laughing, but that's a big myth. That's a big myth. Yeah. I would advise any student who is watching this or any agent who intends to advise a student to do that it is completely false and it is a big myth. So please, whatever you're going to be earning as a student, it should be enough to take care of yourself, maybe pay one or two bills, transportation and all of that, but never your fees, please. So if anybody's trying to sell that to you, run. Yeah.
So, Alima, yes, I know because you work with these students, I'm sure you've come across people that have told you, oh, when I get there, I'm going to get a part-time job and I'll be able to pay the rest. So I want to actually hear what you have to say on that.
Big myth. I'm running with her on that because that's a very wrong impression. Yeah. Now, the only reason why you have the bank statement in the first place is because you've indicated that you have saved enough, right, to pay for your tuition fee and for your maintenance fee, which is for your upkeep. So having to think that you would rely on a job in the UK, because technically kind of jobs you will get is probably like working in a warehouse or just a random office, which you wouldn't earn enough, right? And you have just less than 20, you have just 20 hours per week to work. So of course that would definitely not work. It will not work. So please don't have that impression. That's a very wrong impression. Yes, it's a very, very wrong one.
Okay, so the next statement is a good consultant should know how to say no to students.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. Why?
Yeah. So I don't even think there's so much I have to say about this, but a good consultant should to say no to students. There are certain requests that a student will bring to you as a consultant or as an agent or even as a counselor. You should be able to tell them no. And not just telling them no, tell them how that would impact them. Do you understand? So for instance, a student coming to you to say, I want you to write my personal statement for you. And you know, there are students who are very stubborn about it. They're not just telling you what they want. They want you to do it for them. They expect you to do it for them. You know, because that is what they've been told or that is what they've experienced from someone else or whatever. So they expect the same from you. So you should be able to tell them no. And you should be able to, you know, challenge certain things that they tell you. Some persons will come and say, oh, my sister did X, Y, Z. Be able to tell them, this is not what it is. Tell them the right thing. Some of us in a B2, especially, forgive me, especially as a counselor or as an agent, for you to be able to hit your targets, you tell students what they want to hear. You sway them with, you know, all the beautiful things that they wish to hear. But it's okay to tell them no at some point. And, you know, in some cases, they come back and they be like, oh, yeah, that thing you said is actually true. You know, at that time, it looked like you're being difficult, but at the end of the day, you're trying to save them and you're trying to help them. So yeah, please, do say no.
Yes,
that's a fact. I say no all the time. I would continue to say no when I know it wouldn't work fine, right? I have had a student come to me and say, are you know a travel agent? Write my statement for me. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to write your statement for you. I'm not a travel agent, right? So it's a big fat no. You have to go and do every necessary thing yourself, right? So it's very important to tell students no, right? And I always say that you need to be explicit with your students. You need to be explicit with them. You need to make them understand the reason why. So when I tell them no outrightly, I will also explain to you why I'm saying no. So for example, a student comes in and, university do have the number of seats they have for particular courses. And you have some students come in and say, oh, but I have my tuition fee, I'm going to pay now and all that. There are no slots anymore. There are no seating position anymore. There is no essence because I feel like you have the funds. I'll now take it and delay you. If I take it and delay you, you're going to have to wait for another session, and probably you have a plan. In the first place, you chose the UK technically because of the duration of time, because you have plans and all that, right? So if I'm doing that, it means I'm not straightforward, right? I've had students also say, oh, let me give you the money to do this. Study now, we don't collect a dime. As low as buying your scratch card for your WAEC results, we will not take that from you, right? So I've had students say, no, let me send it to you. No, I can give you the link for you to go and get it and send it to me. But for me to actually get that from you, no, I won't do that. So we should take it as a habit that we should be able to say no. I believe that the moment agents are able to, say these things or say no, and we are all on the same page, a lot of things will be corrected. And that's why the new policy that we have now, that a lot of things are really changing. I love it. I love it because everybody's now doing the right thing. Because we are all accountable for what we're doing. So if a student comes and goes off, then you understand that it's your fault. So yes, we should learn how to say no.
Okay. So the next statement is a visa refusal means the journey is over.
I would say that's a myth. And I just want to add something here. From experience, I have seen some students who have approached me to say, oh, this agent said, because I haven't traveled, I need to get travel history before I can apply to the UK or before I can apply to XYZ destination. And I would say that that's totally wrong. I'm just adding this here because it still involves the whole visa thing. That's totally wrong. I believe that's totally wrong because I've also seen cases where a person with little or no travel history at all has been able to get a visa. And that was like the very first visa or the very first travel experience they would ever have or they're about to have at the moment. So you having a visa refusal, it's not the end of your dream or whatever. And you not having any travel history doesn't mean that you can't apply to the UK or to any other country. What is important is how you're able to address the questions that would need to be asked. And in the case of visa refusal, how you're able, if you're applying to the same country, you should be able to address the reason for the very first refusal or the refusal you may have gotten. Once you can address it and, show the ECO, the visa officer, what's different from what you're doing differently from what has happened to you, then you should be able to get a successful visa, except, I don't know. But if once you're able to address that situation, you should be able to get a successful visa. And if it's for a different country, you should be able to explain. Let's assume you've gotten a visa from the UK and you're applying to Canada this time. You should be able to address that situation again as to, oh, this is what has happened here, and this is what I'm doing differently, or this is what I'm currently doing, or this is my situation at the moment. Once you can address whatever you may have experienced that was the reason for your refusal, once you can address it, the chances of you having a successful visa application is quite high. So,
Same thing. I'll definitely run with her. Like, it's a myth because you having a visa rejection does not mean, or refusal does not mean that that's the end of the journey. The funny thing is, we had a student here in Study Now where had 9 visa rejections, and of course approached one of our regional head anyway, and he was like, I have 9 visa rejections, and he was like, okay, start mentioning. He started mentioning all the countries. I think at the 4th one he was like, are you serious? You understand? So the only thing is, you need to be explicit. You need to explain. You need to understand what happened. And that's why whenever a student has a visa rejection, we request for the visa rejection, the letter and all that. We need to read and understand where the issues were, what happened, and we need to know what to correct. Because at some point, imagine a student that, a client that had an experience with an agent that did not allow them have access to the emails or access to anything, and probably the financial documents were not properly arranged and all that, and they were able to detect it, right? And they got a rejection. We are taking it up. We want to see, we want to understand, and we will definitely explain and guide you properly. And that's why we tell our students from the onset, you need to be explicit. You need to be truthful. You need to indicate that integrity is key. So once you have all that, it doesn't stop the journey.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
maybe
you.
to add
Yes,
something
go
here.
ahead.
I want to say that as a student, you approaching your agent or the university representative, in my case, or counselor, is like speaking with your lawyer or your doctor. It should be as plain as possible.
Yes.
Like, because with the information you give to the representative or to your counselor, to your agent, is how they know what best for you, how to better assist you, how to better guide you. So when you're being dodgy with certain aspects of whatever that may have happened to you, then you make the work difficult for them, because at the end of the day, the success or the failure of the application lies with your agent or your counselor. So please be as open as you can be to your agents to make life easy for you and for them and for everybody at large. All right, thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I want us to wrap up with this question. Basically, the major purpose of this conversation we're having is to enlighten students,
Yeah.
for them to spot the difference when it comes to the people in the industry. So you can just give one line answer, right, to what does putting a student first mean? Yes, go ahead, Destiny.
To my understanding, putting a student first means that in all that we're doing, the student is the center of it, right? And the student is the reason why we do what we do.
We're doing, yes.
All right. So consider them, provide them with all the necessary information they need, arm them with all of the information, make sure they are involved in the process. So that to me is what putting a student first is. Even as a representative, the student is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
So they are, in fact, that's the whole purpose of everything. So that's me putting them first.
Yes.
And say accountability, because we're accountable to the student, right? Whatever happens, we either make or mar the student, because at some point in time, if the student has a visa rejection, we feel it too. So I've had a student tell me once and say, I have a visa, my visa is successful, but it seems you're more excited than I am. And I'm like, yeah, I will be more excited, because every time you tell your story, you're going to remember me, right? So that's why they are key, they are important. And of course, we have to put them at the center, like she said. They have to be right there. And we also have to school them and make them understand the essence of what the journey is about.
Yeah, so from everything we've actually said today, I think putting them first means understanding that behind every application is a dream, sacrifices, and also a hope for a better future.
Yeah.
And that dream should be met with honesty, with transparency, with the guidance we've been talking about, and not making the students depend 100% on you. You're there to provide the guidance to them. And I think anyone who has been listening to us, watching us, should actually know how to spot the difference and know the agent that is there to help them and the one that is there to just sell something to them, and not actually putting them in the middle, like you said earlier. So yes, so thank you so much for joining us today. We had a wonderful, wonderful time here in the studio, and I'm sure you had a very great time too, because we've spoken a lot about the industry and how you can also spot the difference when you're dealing with agents. So we are going to be here again next time, but for today, we've come to the end of today's program. And until next time, keep dreaming, keep asking questions, and also we'll be here next time. Thank you.